Welcome to Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, business coach and mentor, and each week I'll be bringing you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating and living a life of energy, action, impact and happiness. And today I'm delighted to be welcoming on Anna, a coach who helps empower women to achieve what they want with confidence. We discuss how she achieves this through transformational coaching and mentoring, in addition to the focus that you put onto your personal development. I hope you enjoy this episode. Over to Anna. Anna, thank you so much for joining me today. Really delighted and happy to have you on after so much time talking before. It's great to be able to share what we do and have a chat today. So thank you, first of all. Tell me more about you, how you got into coaching and who you help.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me, Natalie. It's an honour to be here. I've been listening to your podcast. I absolutely love it. And then when we connected and we talked about doing it, it just seemed like brilliant thing to do. So thank you. So a bit about me. So my name's Anna. I'm a coach and mentor. I have 2 diplomas in coaching, one in personal performance coaching and one in corporate and executive coaching. I think similar to you in your journey, actually. And I sort of started building my business last year, and I've really sort of found that my niche has kind of led me down this path of working primarily with women and professional women, and really looking around confidence, so confidence coaching and overcoming limiting beliefs, because these are sort of things that really resonate with me and my story and the journey that I've been on.
Yeah. So tell me more about that story, because I always say stories connect us, and that's when you really build true relationships and things. You work out whether things resonate, you work out whether you have a connection, and I think that it's really powerful. And I don't think it's about me. I think it really does, as I say, connect people.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think from day one of starting this whole coaching journey, the training, the people I've met, sort of that story really has become more and more important to me. And it's sort of, I've really sort of spent time thinking about it. And I think, I moved to London after university, wanted to be an actress, had this passion for theatre, wanted to be on the stage. And it didn't quite work out, and I had a few setbacks and a few other things that happened, and it just really knocked my confidence. And I ended up going into marketing, working in marketing, which was great. But sort of working in the corporate world and working in wine as well, which was kind of back then sort of young girl in their early 20s is all quite daunting and a bit scary as well. And sort of over time, I think sort of started developing these limiting beliefs around my abilities and what I could do. And I slowly started sort of working my way up and doing all right. But if I look back now on different, stages in my life and think, God, if I had a coach then, if I was working with a coach then, things would have been so much different. And then a few years into that, I had a friend who started doing some coaching training, was telling me about it. And that's when I came across the Coaching Academy. They were doing these 3 weekends to learn what it would be like to be a coach. So I signed up to that, and literally that weekend just changed my life. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, just the passion, the excitement, the happiness that came from it. And I decided there and then after that weekend, I was going to start my training. And then I've just been on this wonderful journey ever since. Just met so many amazing people and already worked with so many amazing women. And it's just, I feel totally fulfilled in what I'm doing now. And I know this is kind of my mission, if you like, of what I was meant to do.
Yeah,
a long-winded answer, sorry.
No, it does resonate. It's a lovely way to put it. What kind of, when you said about like the setbacks you'd go through, so I did drama, absolutely loved it. And I remember I wanted to do drama school, so I went and auditioned and did all that jazz. And at 18 I didn't get anywhere because they wanted you to be more experienced and then to basically kind of volunteer for work and things. And I just didn't want to do it. Actually, I loved it, I just didn't want to not earn money. And I was actually working at the time and earning quite good money. I thought, oh, I just love this, and I just went with it, and it just kept me there. But then you kind of hit that 30 point and think, actually, this isn't what I intended to do with my life or wanted to do. And then that's when I similarly went and found the academy and everything, because I'd heard of coaching and loved it, the idea of it, and just wanted to know more. What kind of things, when you look back at those obstacles and setbacks you said, have you since coaching kind of reframed how you see them as obstacles and setbacks?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sort of those setbacks really were around my confidence, my ability to be able to do something, and really having a voice, not being afraid to speak about what I thought my opinion was on something, or being able to sort of motivate myself and take myself out of my comfort zone. I really did struggle with that, and I think it was perhaps primarily the whole acting career thing, not, you know, a few setbacks on auditions, not really getting the parts, and sort of all of that really sort of, I think, started it. And then going into like working in the corporate world, and you know, there's a few occasions where, you know, I think I got things wrong, and I think all of those things just sort of built up really. And then it was like through the coaching and the learnings through the coaching, and understanding a bit more about me and my values and what drives me, and really sort of learning more about limiting beliefs. You know, what does that mean, and how do you go about working through that and overcoming that? It's just totally changed me as a person, and I just feel totally confident now in what I'm doing, and I have no fear at all in saying what I think and saying what I want to do, and how to do that, and that's really what I want to help women with. I want to help them on that journey that I was on, and getting them to that place a lot quicker than I did.
So describe how you do that, because I think people can, you know, pitch, and we all do it to a degree, you know, what we know we can do to help others, but it's a bit like when we say personally we want to do something as well, isn't it? We know often how or what we need to do, we just don't do it. What becomes the part for you in really helping move them forward at that pace, which coaching does do?
It's a really good question, and I think the first really important thing, I think, is listening. Is just really listening to someone, and that's really what changed it for me, was when I was training but also I was being coached, just having someone hold that space for me, to allow me to kind of understand where I am, where I want to be, what's happened, you know, how do I want to move forward, how can I do that. Just having that time, that reflection, I mean, that was amazing. And it sounds so simple, and it really is, but when do we ever really give ourselves that time to think and to stop and say, hang on a minute, am I doing this because it makes me happy, or am I doing this because it's what I should be doing? So I think that was the first step really in that process, in that journey.
Yeah, you're spot on. And often we work with people that are coachable, and we want to coach, and who want to be coached. They have a drive or an innate thing that are, you know, working towards, don't they? Because they want more, they know there's more, and that's what keeps them focused. But what I often find is it's always, there's different ways that they are as characters, personalities and people, but I guess they'll be driven in a way that's boom, you know, tunnel vision to a degree, or very focused on one thing, wanted it yesterday, got to have it tomorrow, go, can't slow down. And it's a big saying now for me, slow down to speed up. And I really think and believe, as you say, that listening is severely underestimated. I think that just giving your time as well, like you said, and I find that fun. Sometimes I say to them, this may be like your only hour in the week where you just completely have this to you. I know it's me and you, but this is your time, it's your moment. It, you know, when you want a silence, it doesn't make me feel nervous. I love it, because I want you to be thinking, I want you to be exploring this, because if you don't do it here, you're not going to do it.
It's so true. It's so true. And I love that sort of slow down to speed up. And yeah, I love that. I think that's so powerful, and it speaks volumes, and it is so true. And I do find that with clients as well, is that, you know, sometimes those long silent pauses when you've asked them that question and they're really digging deep, they're really, really thinking about it. And it's those magical moments where sort of the light bulb turns on, and it's like realization of, oh God, yes, this is really what I want to do. And God, what have I been doing for so long? You probably had similar experiences with your clients as well.
Yeah, for sure. And especially like we've shared doing the mentoring you do with people as well, when you share things and it becomes a bit apparent that, oh, it's not just me, or, oh yeah, no, I do see that as well. Or you kind of, they've got the seed that's been planted for them, and you then start to water it or whatever, or it starts to blossom and grow a bit more because of something you've added. And that's why I'll say to people sometimes, you know, when you mentor people, they get really worried as coaches about the fact that, or supposing that person doesn't feel they've moved on and things like that. And, you know, the accountability is on me. I'm like, one, it's on them. Two, you may actually not help them a lot in some ways, but you may, from another perspective, that this could be the fact that this experience, of which I believe that, you know, you don't just have one experience for something in life, you have, it compounds, and there's lots of things that happen to get you from A to B. And I said, this just might be that seed again that you are sowing, that in 7 years down the road, they turn back and go, oh my God, like literally, if I hadn't done that experience, I don't think I'd be here now. So I think that again, it's our expectation, it's what we want now, opposed to, you know, like longer term. And I was listening to Jim Rohn this morning. I'm obsessed with his material at the moment, and he was talking a lot around patience and, you know, about success as well, and that it is about being patient with everything and knowing it's not just going to be tomorrow. You don't go to school and just finish a whole curriculum in a year. You go for about 5 years, and then you go on to the next 5 years, and that, yet we want everything overnight when we're in these worlds and we're adults. And I think you have to, as I said, this word reframe, and try and see a different perspective. And those moments when you're being coached, allow that to be the facilitation point.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just made me think of something else then as well, something that has come up a few times actually, because we both we do the mentoring, mentoring students for the coaching academy, and I love doing that, because, you know, it's giving something back. And you know what it's like, been like, you've been on that journey, you've been through that process. And I often get asked, you know, what advice would you give me, like being going through this whole process? And one of the things I do say is enjoy the process. Like, literally stop worrying about tomorrow and what you might not done yet, or you're behind on whatever it is, your timelines, and just enjoy the process. Like, take it in. And I don't think we do that enough either. We worry about tomorrow rather than living for today. And I think that's so important, because early on in my training, I was sort of putting myself under a lot of pressure, feeling quite overwhelmed. And I was like, Anna, hang on a minute. You got into this because you're passionate about doing it and you love it. Like, just stop a minute and actually enjoy the process. And that's how I live now with building my coaching business, and what I'm doing now and working with clients, is that enjoying it, enjoying the learning. I'm forever learning, adapting, evolving, and really sort of, when I'm with those clients, like really enjoying what comes out of that, and really sort of learning and developing from that. And I think that's so important.
It is absolutely. One of the things you shared with me before we jumped on today is around thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings therefore then create our actions. If you take an example of confidence and feelings around that, how does that shape action or feelings and then actions by not being confident?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think, going back to what you're saying, and it's something that I'm really interested in and fascinated by, in this whole, what we think, creates our feelings, and our feelings create our actions, and they all impact on each other. And I think for me, and what I've learned personally on my journey, is some of those limiting beliefs I've had is literally just changing them. That simple, just changing them into something really empowering, and kind of living by that. And when I say living by that, like, for me, I mean, it's got to be whatever works for you, and with clients we'll do different things. But every day I have affirmations that I'll say in my head. I have a gratitude journal that I write in every day. I do yoga, I do meditation, breathing. And it's really, for me, it's about living and breathing all that positivity, and living by that. Because the more you change your thinking patterns, the more you change your behaviors, the more they then become familiar. And I think that's the key thing about limiting beliefs, is because you might have had those beliefs, you might not even know you have them yet, but you've had them for so long, they're familiar to you and your brain, and that is how essentially you're living your life, and you don't necessarily know that you're living like that, and it's breaking those patterns, changing that cycle.
And do you know what? I used to look at it, I do think it's hard to do. I don't think it's easy to change habits. And that's my own experience. But I think I was sharing with today the example of even just COVID. I was talking about someone saying about when the masks come off. And I said, but take yourself back to when we had to wear them and we all felt silly and all that jazz. I said, but people looked at that and then had this different belief of, oh, I can't believe I've got to wear a mask, and oh, well, those limiting beliefs coming through. Yet now they're doing the opposite again because they're used to it. So I said, like you said, it becomes familiar. So you have to trust that we can adapt quicker than we think, probably. And it's about sometimes maybe just not being always so aware of everything, ironically, on some things, and just doing it. And like you said, just taking action, isn't it? And again, it's a bit like I said, procrastination. You've just got to act. And it's the same with confidence, I think, to a degree. But I think confidence is interesting because I've been working with somebody that's not got much confidence as a leader, and I've just said, you need to believe in yourself more, you need to be more confident, and I've got your back and all of that. And I walked away and I thought about it overnight, and just thought it's really easy for me to say that because I am very confident. If anything, I say I'd like to be less, which is weird but true. But I think it is really easy to say, just be this. And it's not easy for that person. They then go, oh, okay, yeah, but they're not. You need to break down, like you said, the limiting beliefs and the thoughts and what's going on for them internally that's stopping that's creating that barrier. Because if you don't, they're not going to just be confident. It's not that simple.
Absolutely. And I think the critical thing is as well with all of that is that none of us are always going to feel confident. We're always going to have days where we have an off day or something happens out of our control, and that will impact again, on our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. So, but what we can do is find ways and means when we need to, when we feel like we need that support to help build our confidence. And what you were just talking about then with that person that you're working with, about them, not necessarily being a confident leader. I think sometimes as well, it's just once you realize that perhaps there is a lack of confidence there, that in itself is the first step, if you like, of understanding, okay, so this may be something, because some people don't even realize that either. But once you have taken that first step, then there is the ability and the room to kind of bring that confidence in, however it is that you want to do that, and how you feel like you could do that. And there's lots of different ways and means of doing that, and there's lots of different ways I explore that with the clients that I work with.
Talk more about that, how you do that.
Yeah, so one that I really love doing is we talk about the ego, imposter syndrome, sort of our gremlins, if you like, the voice in our head, and that's primarily, I think, where perhaps this lack of confidence will come from, is this kind of in our head telling ourselves that we can't do it, we're not good enough, someone's going to be better, or people won't want to hear what I have to say, whatever it is. And I do this exercise where it's something I learned through the training, actually, with Pam. I think Pam took us through it, Pam and it was all about, rather than resisting it, because the more you resist it, the bigger it grows and the louder the voice comes, really listening to that voice, letting that voice in. And I do this thing now where I've done it with a few clients that's worked quite well. And I know we're all different, so it might not be for some people, but really getting them to visualize this gremlin. So like turning them into a person, if you like. What do they look like? Where do they like to go out? What are their hobbies? What do they wear? Everything. So they've really kind of an understanding of when this voice comes in. Oh, I know who that person is. Like I can understand that person. And then saying to them, what do they like to drink? For example, like I have one client who her gremlin, loved a glass of sherry, and then actually saying, right, and putting a date in the diary and saying, right, I want you to invite her round, and she has a name, and I want you to get out the sherry, and I want you to have a glass of sherry, and I want you to say to the gremlin, right, this is what needs to happen going forwards. I realise that you think you're protecting me and you're trying to help me, but actually we need to work together on this. And actually, I'm okay. I'm all right. I will be okay. And it all sounds, quite, people might think, oh, this sounds a bit odd. But actually, when you do go through that process and when you do actually follow it through, it is amazing what can come out of that. And I've had some clients come back to me now and just saying, oh my God, this has totally changed my life. Like when I'm having those moments now and I know, what's happening, what's going on in my head, and then they know how to react to that and how to deal with that. And then sometimes they just say, right, let them come in, but they've passed through and they've gone through and I'm fine again. And I'm focusing what I need to do and I'm moving forwards.
Two trains of thought I have there. There's one's really interesting is, why do we give a fuck so much what others think? That's true. I swear about it.
It's so true.
Why do we care so much what others think? And actually, that's exactly the point I'm making at the start, that we have to compound different things, and it isn't just one, occurrence, situation or experience. It is an amalgamation of lots of different things, and it may just be that you doing that part and process with somebody is, the 10th thing they've tried, and it bloody works. So as crazy as it sounds, and you'll probably, and ironically, how many times do we sit there in anything with life and go, no, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, and then it's like, oh yeah, it worked. You just have to be more open-minded to give things a go. Second for me is that I think there is a part with confidence. I only established this in my own mind about a month ago when I was thinking about confidence with this person, is that because I was thinking about how was I years ago when I wasn't as confident, and some of it changed through drama, actually doing drama at school. And what I was then reflecting back is, where was I not confident at work when I started business and getting a job? Then where was I not confident in another place? Every single time, the similarity, what's occurred in every single situation was somebody believed in me at some point in all of those situations, and I can remember them now crystal clear. They role modeled, they were visible to me as a leader, inspirationally in the way they were, and that belief that they had me helped me be more confident. So I do believe that there is a part as well that we can look at ourselves, our limiting beliefs and everything as well. But what I'm saying with people is that we need to get out there as coaches, mentors, friends, people, leaders, colleagues, and be more empowering of people generally, and having a can-do attitude. And they say that it takes 7 positives to outdo 1 negative or something. So you think about the times you actually put positive out there versus actually naturally, I think we instantly think negative anyway as default. So we have to rechange, again, that's that slow down, speed up, and look at the faults we have, isn't it? And rewire that.
Absolutely. And I think what you were just saying there about, always having that one person believe in you, I think that's another critical thing about confidence as well, is surrounding yourself with people that make you feel confident. And they say, limiting beliefs tend to crop up or tend to be around the people that you associate yourself with, that you spend the most time with. So being with people that lift you up, that light you up, that fill you with confidence, that know exactly what to say when you need to hear it, and that you feel supported by, and that there's someone there with you. I think that is really critical as well. So that's something I do look at with clients as well, like in your inner circle, who is your support here, who is helping you, who is being that person, like you said, that somebody that believes in you. It's really important.
I like what you shared before as well, that you have to have wins, I think, as well. I was working with someone on more the corporate side, like we've both done, and just said, for them, a lot of their attachment with this word confidence was around knowledge and knowing everything. And I was like, you're never gonna. And actually, if you tell me you want to be a leader or a CEO in 5 years' time, you don't need to know the ins and outs of that. You don't need to be the job expert. A leader engages people, they're inspiring, they're empowering, they are leading the way, they have a compelling vision, they are big, they're bold, whatever. They aren't the doer.
Absolutely.
All they do is the right thing for people. So I think there's an element there of you have to push people back and see, again, it's that reframing and perspective of things, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
because we are never going to know everything. And even I've started working with a community of coaches in terms of they're going through like qualifying as well, and the confidence came up there. And I kind of said, like, well, one, I guess I'm that visible proof that you can do it, and this isn't a, you know, you're not going to pass or whatever. So two, you know that some people have done it, I can do it. But two, you're not going to know everything yet. And I say this to people in, like yourself, with the mentoring, and it sounds quite direct actually, but I'm like, you're not great. And I was like, why do you think you're going to be great when you've given maybe 2 months to this? We've been working for years. I've been doing this since 2015, which is nothing. And actually, you know, I'm not anywhere near where I'd want to be as a coach. I am better than what I was in 2015 for sure. I can see that in myself, and I know, and it's the thoughts that I have, the questions, my life is different. But don't rock up to 10 months in even something and think you're going to be great. You're not. So I think you have to have a reality that that's cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
Stop giving yourself a hard time and realize where you're at, but keep chipping away, keep doing something every single day that gets you one step closer to where you want to be. But exactly as you say, one, trust the process, but enjoy the process with that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's critical. And I think the thing is, we're always going to get better at what we do. We're always going to get better because we're always learning, we're always developing. And you know, sometimes things might not go the way we planned, and I think actually that's a really positive thing as well when things don't work out, because there's so much learning to be taken from that. And you just go back fighting even harder, even stronger than you were before.
And it's the same as sometimes when you're doing sales with people, and I don't really look at it sort of like sales calls, I just get in conversations with people to see if this is going to work or not. But it's the same as when they say, you know, you might hit the money bit, and it's like, oh, and it's like, well, okay, let's put it in a different, again, reframe different perspective here. What would you be, if you wanted to lose weight and go to the gym, would you expect 12 abs in a month? And they're like, no. And I said, so why do you think you're going to suddenly have coaching in 12 weeks and you're going to be sorted? You can go to therapy and just get over everything. It just doesn't work like that. But I think there's an essence of a view that coaching does that as well. And yes, it's faster, and it is, you do get there sooner, but it's not an overnight thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the more you put into it in the process and really kind of let yourself be engaged with the process, the more you're going to get out of it. It really is that simple.
And I think, like, even I can imagine, like you say, how much your confidence has grown. That's where it's inspiring, isn't it? And that's what people, that's why I'm saying that's what people connect with and hook onto, is that they want a bit of that. It's like someone has, people say I have quite a lot of energy, which I do, again, I have too much. But that's often what will attract similar people. I'm also conscious that sometimes it's a detail, you know, people don't like that amount of energy, which is fine. But we, you know, that it's those things that draw us to people, isn't it? Similarity, we like people like ourselves. But, you know, it's our qualities and our personality. It isn't a fact of whether we're confident as such necessarily. It's more than that.
Absolutely. And I think just talking about that as well, the thing I've learned, and actually I've shared that with students now that I'm mentoring, is that you're not going to be for everyone. You know, this fear about, oh, what if it doesn't work and it's not right? And actually you're not going to be for everyone, and every client is not going to be for you either. And it's exactly what you were just saying. It's like that connection, you know, when you have that connection with someone and that rapport begins to build, and you know when you want to work with that person, and they'll know when they want to work with you. And that's the bit that you need to really focus on.
And this is why I love doing this, because it goes on to so much more than just, you know, just it's so much of life. And this is about relationships. I've got a big thing about that as well, that I was connecting with somebody the other day about like whether they would be a mentor for me as such. And he said, oh, I'll look for your stuff. And he says, oh, well, to be honest, you look like you're doing exactly the same as me. And he goes, and that'd be a conflict of interest. And I was like, I've never heard conflict of interest in the coaching industry. And I thought, okay, I understand that. I was like, could you talk me through what the conflict of interest is, please? Because I'm struggling to understand that. And he'd said, like, I may be confused. And I said, no, look, we do the same thing, coach and mentor, and we might do similar industries, but who gives a monkey? Like, your personality and character, in fact, your male even is completely different to me. So it's almost like you're saying that we're against each other. And that's what I'm trying to break down with this, is that there's 7 billion people in the world. we're limiting ourselves, we're putting limits on ourselves in our minds by just going, oh no, can't do a podcast with Anna, she's a competitor, she's just I do confident, she is a bit confident. It's like, who cares? No, because I will have like myself, like how I am, and you are how you are. And for some people, that's what they want. Some people don't want group coaching, they want one-to-one. It's just, I think we can limit ourselves with that as well, can't we?
Absolutely. And I was just going to say that was, you know, a limiting belief there that he'd created. Yeah, it's so true. And, you know, yes, there might be coaches doing the same thing. I know loads of coaches doing what I'm doing, but they're not me, and they don't do it my way, you know. And yeah, he might see the similarities with what you're both doing, but like you said, you're both completely different. And that's the wonderful thing about this. And I think also what you're doing, Natalie, as well, what you're doing with this podcast is wonderful, is it's sharing people's stories, and people learn from stories as well, like, and they take what they want from that as well. And I think that's such a powerful thing, and especially in the coaching world. And I think we're still sort of not quite there yet. I think there is still, in the UK, I think anyway, I don't know what you think, but this lack of understanding often around what coaching is and what it does. So having a podcast like this to kind of shine a light on what it is and how powerful it is, I think is a really wonderful thing.
That's hit home a couple of times. It's hit home in terms of me sharing I do a podcast, and people are like, what is a podcast? And I'm like, and I go into that like, what on earth? And I was like, how do you not know what podcast is? And they're like, Nat, most people don't. I'm like, really? So that's me in my bubble. But yeah, it's true, people don't know what coaching is at all, and or they'll go and do it, and I watch them, I'm like, yeah, it's not really coaching, that's teaching. But I don't really mind it's not coaching, just don't say it is.
yeah
And kind of making sure you spelt them in the right way. But it's interesting, like you say, I think you just get a big awareness piece. I read the Daily Stoic book every morning. It's little inserts, and so I love that viewpoint of life. And it was saying this morning is about kind of being enough and being on your journey and everything. And then I was driving to work and this morning, and I heard something about being enough, and I was like, this is weird. But it's notice what you notice is what we say as coaches. A little bit of law of attraction without the geeky side for me, in terms of getting that awareness and what you know, the kind of laws of vibrations. And I was like, this is weird. And then someone else said to me today, was like saying, like, enough's enough. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. This is one day. But you do heighten the awareness part, and again, that's that part in this slow down part of the signs. What does it mean to me? The same as when we say, you know, I want a red car, and then we just see red cars. We've really got to, sometimes we move faster by just slowing and understanding where we're at with that. And I think you can apply the same to confidence, that like you said, what is it, that part, and break it down like you do a goal. What is it? When am I confident? When am I not? Why is that? What's going on for me? Like you said, like, what's the gremlin, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
What is it? I always say I'm like really into the mind paradox, so I'm big in the chimp, and I'm like giving my chimp a banana all the time, you know, and my emotional kicks in, and I don't think logically and rationally. I'll think, oh, hang on, monkey, banana him. So that's probably my gremlin, is the monkey.
Yeah, I love that though. And it's whatever works for you, right? We're all different, and we all need to find what that thing or those things are that help us on our journey. And
I think, like, just saying no to some things, me affirmations doesn't work, and I've tried and they don't. I do love a journal though, absolutely love it, and I'm massive on gratitude, like massive on it, to the point where actually I'm probably getting quite a challenging conversation with people, because I think they can do it overnight. And where I've been very aware of gratitude the last probably 18 months, you have to embed, for me, almost a culture for yourself, the way you do it. And I think, you know, it isn't just because what I noticed at one point was I was saying the same things every day. I'm grateful for the same things. I thought, this isn't gratitude to me. I need to be more than this. I need to be bolder than this and bigger than just, oh, I wake up and, oh, I have energy, you know, or I can brush my teeth and I can walk. But it's more than that. And I think a lot of that stemmed maybe with the giving back as well, and the volunteering work that I like to do and things like that, that it's not always take. It's more, like I say it all the time, but a Tony Robbins quote, the secret to living is giving, and you find that you get so much more from that, and you're in a happier state. and then
Absolutely.
your environment you're happier to be around and people want to be, and then you make the right connections, and then you get more confident because you're in the right environments and you're with the right people that inspire and empower you. And so I think that there's, like we said, it's lots of different things, isn't it?
Absolutely that. And I think that's, that's wonderful that you've recognized all of that, and what works for you. And I think that is a lot of what coaching is about as well, is about helping you to identify you, basically. Where are you, where do you want to be, and what works for you? And you'll probably agree with me, now that I've been through all this training and that I am a coach, even when I'm going through stuff in my life, like, I'll use those tools and techniques I've learned to help me massively.
Yeah, and it's just organic, isn't it? Things will happen. I was like, what worked really well? And I was like, that didn't go well. Like, all the time, I'd be like, it didn't go well at all. And I'd be like, that went really well. And what do I need to do next? I just naturally think that way with a lot of things now. Like as well. And that's helped with fear. But because I approach it in that methodical way, I don't fear things in quite the same way either. I know what my fears are, and the only fear I do have is a fear of losing attachment to some things that I have, which sounds really egotistical, but that is my biggest fear, is to lose what I've made for myself on that.
So that's so wonderful that you've highlighted that, and that you're aware of that, and that that, and and that's part of you. That's who you are.
So it is that part of it. It's a journey, and there isn't an end destination. And success can be every day. There can be something that you're happy with, or one little move forward, one step. Is it? And I used to think, doing all the fitness stuff a couple of years ago, I used to put so much pressure on, and now it's like, I'll do one little thing, and I'm like, actually, that's better than yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's important as well, isn't
that's
it?
really important. Yeah. And and sometimes it is just that one thing as well. And like, working with clients who perhaps have really do struggle with their confidence, it's just, well, what's that one thing that you can focus on tomorrow, just kind of bring you that small step on sort of the path that you want to be on, and just breaking it down like that. Because sometimes this overwhelm and the voice in the head and all of it, we can get ourselves into a situation where, if you just take a step back and sort of going back to that listening as well, and listening to what's going on, and really kind of tuning into that, and just really slowing it down, like you've been saying before, it can just have so much impact and make all the difference.
So I always kind of round up with 5 key questions. I'm going to ask you some different ones because I'm really interested to see your answer actually on this.
Okay.
I'll kick off with the first one. So how do you measure success?
So success for me, the core value that I live by and that drives me really is happiness. It's so important to me. Like, if I'm not happy doing something, then I'll question, why am I doing it? So success is very much tied up in happiness in what I'm doing, and also the people around me that that are in my life, that are important to me, that they're happy as well. So that would be how I would measure it.
And touching on that, then, what does what is it you're most grateful for? What else?
I think the thing I'm most grateful for are my friends and family in my life, the people around me that have been there while I've been on this journey, and that have really supported me and encouraged me, and continue to do so. I'm very lucky and very fortunate to have that, and I don't take that for granted at all.
And I think if people could take one reflection from that, it is that when people are doing things that you're very close to, and you don't think, maybe you're not quite sure for them, and you're doing it in good interest, but that's that part I said, just believe in them, because they need that, and it's not for you to judge whether it's right or wrong for them. They need to work that themselves. Maybe give that advice to devil's advocate, but believing in them could be the best thing you do. Challenging them, it's not going to work for you, which
absolutely
as well. Maybe it's easy for me to say that because but then I've made that choice not to have those kind of people in my world, so therefore I'm not around it. But I think there's an abundance of it in the world, people being negative, or people putting people down and judging still.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes this comes up a lot with clients as well, when they really look at the people in their life. Sometimes they didn't even realize those people that they hold close and dear were actually the people that were draining them and that were very negative.
So true.
Yeah. really interesting.
Things. No, that's another topic all on its own, now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really interested to know, what's a book that's had the biggest impact on you?
I think I actually you shared this on your group, and I've just finished reading it. I don't know if you've come across it. The Prosperous Coach.
Okay.
Would be a coaching book. Yeah, just absolutely love it. And then there is I've been reading a lot of Marissa Peer books and following her, and she's written a book, I Am Enough. And that was just really
you just did that word again today. See?
Oh my god.
You know what I mean? That's exactly my point. For me, I'm like, that's really weird. So that's me getting weird on science. But no, I've done Marissa Peer stuff. I've actually had RTT therapy twice.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. It's the first time was quite scary when you're in that hypnosis. I say it's like being in the sixth sense, where you have this limbo state where you, in your mind, you're like, open your eyes, you can't open your eyes. It's just really bizarre. And it takes you back to your limiting beliefs, like it brings them to life, like, and things that I then, because my mum laughs now at me because we discuss it, because I always end up in tears at some point in the session. She's like, oh, you just start crying again, did you? And I'm like, I did. But there'll be something that I'll be drawn back to in years ago, and they'll say, you're going to go back, something's going to come up for you, and I'm thinking, no, it won't. And then suddenly something comes back to me so vivid. I'm there. I'm literally there. And the last time I remembered it was that I was at school, and it was when a teacher had a go at me because I just got up and wanted to go to the loo and stuff, and it made my heart go. And then it's really strange when you're in the therapy, you feel the same feelings. You feel it for your body. It's so bizarre. It's an amazing experience. People haven't done it. She's amazing.
She is amazing.
Phenomenal, different level of anything. So if you haven't explored it yet. So no, I haven't actually read anything. I've listened to, I love her voice as well, because it's just very calming.
I do, yeah. So I would definitely recommend I Am Enough. Her book is really, really good, really empowering. And what you were just talking about then as well, I think it just shows as well that exactly the same emotions, that when you think about it, the emotions you have when you think like sad, stressed, essentially they are the same emotions, if you like, but it's just you're attaching them to those different situations, and they can become bigger and bigger if they are allowed to kind of build and to stay there with you. But it's when you realize where that's come from and you're able to let that go, like what you were saying when you were crying, like releasing it.
It is a big thing.
So much power in that, and being able to move forwards.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And so what do you kind of want to be known for with the coaching?
I think primarily being known for all the women that I've worked with and will continue to work with, just that I was there on their journey and helped them at some stage, and that whatever they take from that process when they work with me, that that stays with them and that continues to help them, and that I was someone there that listened, positive, had this positive energy, if you like. People do say I'm a very positive person, and I do like to think I'm really positive. Even when I'm having my off days, and we all have them, I try and look for the positive in any situation, because I think that there is always something positive there that you can take from what's happening. So
we need more of that in the world, I think. What would you tell your younger self now?
I love this question, and I've done a post about this recently, actually, I think on one of my social groups, and I think it is very much just be you, because I think from a young age we sort of start creating these value systems, these belief systems, and obviously people around us influence us and might change how we do things, affect things, but essentially you are you for a reason. We're all here on this planet living this life on this journey, and that there is no one like you. So just be you.
What a lovely way to end. Where can people find you, Anna?
So I am on Facebook. I have a new Facebook group actually I recently started, which is called Journey with Confidence. So if you liked any of what I've said today and any of it resonates with you, I'd love to have you in the group. It's a safe space. And I'm also I'm on Instagram as well. And my company's Aval Coaching.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I really hope you've taken some value. If you would like to focus on achieving your purpose-driven goals, then reach out and share with me one thing that's going great for you right now and one thing that you're really struggling with. Let's see if or how I can help you to leverage your business to make more money, make an impact, and have more freedom. As always, go take action, make an impact, and have a great day.